Hello everyone and welcome back to our course on modern web development. In this lesson, we will dive deeper into customizing and changing your AI assistant to make it more powerful, context-aware, and efficient. We will explore how to implement system prompts to guide the AI's behavior and adjust OpenAI model parameters like temperature and max tokens to fine-tune responses. By mastering these advanced features, you will enhance your AI assistant's capabilities and deliver a more professional user experience across your applications, so you can tailor your AI assistants based on your app's needs. And before we start, here are the objectives for this lesson. So by the end of this lesson, you will understand how to use system prompts to influence the AI's behavior and learn how to adjust model parameters to control the AI's output. And here's the table of contents before we start. And we're gonna start off with the understanding system prompts. System prompts are basically initial instructions provided to the AI model. In our case, it's OpenAI, that set the behavior or context for the conversation. They help guide the assistant's responses throughout the interaction, and its purpose to define the assistant's role, style, or behavior, whether you want it to act like a clown, speak like a magician, or an electrician. And it's also going to influence how the AI interprets user inputs and generates outputs. And here's the simple example with the role of system and the content. You are a helpful assistant that provides concise and accurate answers. And the benefits of using system prompts, first of all, it's consistency. So since we gave it a clear instructions that he's a helpful assistant that provides concise and accurate answers, it ensures that AI maintains a consistent tone or style. So we also can customize our style or tone right here, and tailors the assistant to specific use cases or domains such as engineering, coding, whether it's want to be proficient in JavaScript, or tailor its answers to Python explicitly. And also it provides a way to guide the AI's behavior without changing the model itself. And to basically implement those system prompts, you include a message with the role system at the beginning of the messages array sent to the OpenAI API. And the steps to do that, so first of all, you have to define the system prompt, decide what instructions you want to give to the AI. And here are the two examples for a friendly assistant and for a technical support bot. So for the first one, we're basically saying that he'll be a friendly assistant. And for the second one, we're defining that he'll be a technical support assistant specializing in troubleshooting internet connectivity issues. And to include that the system prompt in the messages array, you would simply need to add a new parameters to above the user. So role, system, content, your technical support assistant specializing in troubleshooting internet connectivity issues. And now we're gonna update our code. So in our API route, where we're calling the OpenAI API, we're gonna modify the messages array to include the system prompt. And as you can see, here's an example. So we're just gonna follow the example, and let's go back to Visual Studio Code. And here we're gonna define a new role of system, and give the content of okay, for instance, speak like a magician, and don't forget your comma. And now let's test out our application on our development server. So let's reload it, and if we're gonna ask it to okay, who are you, for instance, it should speak like a magician. So yeah, as you can see, it says a bunch of weird stuff. I am but a humble sorcerer, a weaver of words and purveyor of magic. I'm here to guide and entertain. So yeah, it basically speaks like a magician. We customize the prompt to tailor it for our application's needs. And yeah, that's basically how we gave a customized content for our assistant. And some of the important notes here, that the system prompt should be the first message in the messages array. So here on the top. And single use, so only one system prompt is needed per conversation. It sets the contents for the entire interaction. So yeah, you only need one system prompt. And before we move on, here's a little task for you. So modify your AI assistant to include a system prompt that aligns with your application's purpose. And I'm gonna give you a second so you can play with it and interact with your assistant. And I'm gonna come back in a minute. Welcome back, and now we're gonna move on to the next part of the lesson, which is adjusting OpenAI model parameters. So here's the overview of parameters. So basically, OpenAI's model provides several parameters besides the content thingy that allow you to control the behavior of the AI responses. So some of the key parameters are temperature, which has a range of from 0 to 2, and usually the default is like 0.7 to 1, and its purpose to control the randomness of the output, so lower values, lower than 1, will be more focused and deterministic responses. If you want to get like specific focused responses, and higher values, so which are higher than 1, will give us some more creative and diverse responses. For instance, if you want to write a poem or write a book, fairy tale, and so on. The next one is max tokens, so its purpose, which sets the maximum number of tokens, words or word pieces in the response. And regarding tokens, so AI basically can't understand the words as we humans do, and it uses tokens instead. So tokens is basically the synonym to words or sentences, but on the AI language, and what we usually use in the machine learning. And it's don't forget about the limitations. So the total tokens, which is the sum of the input and output, so our input from our side and the output from the model, must be within the model's context length. So for instance, for GPT 3.5 Turbo, the limitation is 4096 tokens. The next parameter is top underscore p, which has a range, and it's has a default value usually of 1, and its purpose to control the diversity of the response using nucleus sampling. We don't usually use that, but basically what it does, so for lower values, the model considers fewer token options, making responses more focused. And we also have frequency and presence penalty. So frequency penalty penalizes new tokens based on their frequency in the text so far, and positive values discourage repetition. And presence penalty penalizes new tokens based on whether they appear in the text so far. And positive values encourage introducing new topics. And adjusting these parameters can help you balance between creativity and relevance in the AI's responses. So here are some examples when we use creative, encouraging, and reduction cases. So here we use temperature of 0.2, top underscore p of 1, frequency penalty of 0, and presence penalty of 0. And when you need precise and predictable answers, such as in technical documentation or factual queries. And here we give it the parameters to make it more creative for like writing prompts, brainstorming, or generating ideas for a coding project, for example. And here we reduce the repetition, so we use it when we want to avoid repetitive responses and encourage diversity in the output. So as you can see, the parameters are temperature is set to 0.7, top underscore p is set to 1, frequency and presence penalty are set to 0.5. And finally, now we're gonna update our API request to include those parameters. So what are we gonna do now? We're just gonna follow the parameters here, and let's navigate back to Visual Studio Code, and we're gonna adjust our content here first. So instead of speak like a magician, we're gonna say you are a helpful assistant that gives concise and accurate answers. And we're just gonna give it some default parameters. So after temperature, give it a max tokens of 500, gave it the top underscore p value of 1, give it a frequency penalty of let's say 0, and presence comma here, presence penalty also set it to 0. And that's basically it. If we go to our development server, let's reload it first, and we're just gonna ask it to write an essay about Mars, and it will limit itself to 500 tokens. So yeah, as you can see, it cuts off, okay, not yet, but yeah, it basically uses only 500 tokens. And now, if we want to experiment with it more, we can give it a token of 1, and let's see what happens. So if we reload our application, and okay, let's wait a second, and ask it how are you, it should limit itself to only 1 token. So yeah, it just says I, so 1 token is like 1 word, and yeah, it works perfectly, and that's how we can customize our parameters. And moving on to the how do we experiment with parameters and what should you do now. So adjust and observe. Try different values for temperature and observe how the AI's responses change. And also keep max tokens within reasonable limits to control the length of the responses. So whether you're using GPT 3.5 or GPT-4 models, don't put a limit of like 1 million tokens because it's just gonna break the program. So yeah, limit yourself. And also allow users to adjust parameters using the front end, such as sliders or input fields, and ensure users understand the impact and set sensible default values. And the exercise would be experiment with different parameters settings to see how they affect the API AI's responses. And I'm gonna give you a second before we move on to the summary of this lesson. Okay, welcome back, and once again, great job today, guys. In this lesson, we've implemented system prompts, so we learned how to guide the AI's behavior by setting a system prompt. We also adjusted model parameters such as temperature or max tokens to control responses, and by applying those advanced features, your AI assistant now becomes even more powerful, responsive, and efficient, providing a better experience for your users and potential clients. And again, here the exercise that you can play with, and additional resources such as OpenAI API reference and documentation or tokenization, so you can dive deeper in how tokenization works. And yeah, congratulations. Thank you for your participation and happy hacking. See you in the next lesson.